What's good, guys? It's your boy Christian here. Today I bring to you guys a tutorial on how I edit my photos. If you guys already haven't, follow me on Instagram at Christian here, and the link will be in the description right here. And today I'm going over how I do my color correction and what type of equipment I use, everything, my process in Photoshop. And for this purpose I use a Sony a6000 with a FE 1.8 50mm lens. These lenses are very good for like a cinema type feel. I'll put the link in the description. I'll put the camera I use in the description. I'll put everything in the description, and we'll dive right into Photoshop right now. First thing I like to do in Photoshop is making a copy of the layer, so that way if I make a mistake I can easily go back and delete the layer, versus if I am just working one layer I can't undo all those effects that I already did, versus just that one layer where I can just hit delete. So the way we do this is we hit Command J on the keyboard and we have a copy of our first layer. So the next thing I like to do is I like to go into filter, and I like to go into camera raw filter, and it brings up this color grading, which is really cool in Photoshop because you have all these options. Like you have the temperature control, you have the tint, you have the exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, whites, blacks, clarity, vibrance, and saturation. You have all those effects that you can easily adjust right there on the spots. And the cool thing is, when you're doing this is such a basic concept to get. Once you really get it, you can easily apply these effects faster and faster as you progress in your photo editings and everything. So the first thing I like to do is look at the photo and see what needs editing. So as you can tell, it's kind of like a bluish kind of vibe to it. And so we're going to go over to this temperature right here, and we're just going to drag this about right there. See, it brings it more alive. You can feel the temperature. It's more cool. It's more hip to it. It brings out the color in her hair more, and it's pretty much done right there. I like to add a little bit more tint to the pink because of her hair right there. She has a little bit of pink, so we're going to drag this here till it pops out. And then next thing I like to do is I like to bring up the exposure just a little bit. Not too much because this is all raw. We're going to bring up the exposure later into the video, and we're going to do all that and the contrast, the highlights, shadows, whites, blacks, all more into the video. So we're going to bring up the contrast next. Just a little bit. We're not going to bring it up too much because, again, if we mess up, we can't really undo the effects. But I don't really like to do too much of the contrast in here. So yeah. Next is the highlights, and we're going to just bring up the highlights just a little bit. Probably 11. So sorry guys, my allergies are so bad here. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to bring down the shadows. That's good right there. I think it looks good. If you guys hear me sniffing throughout this video, it's because I have really bad allergies and it's acting up. So, sorry about that. I should probably take my medicine after this video, so, yeah. Next is the whites. We're going to bring up the whites a little bit. And we're going to bring up the blacks just a little bit. Bam! Right there. That already looks better. We're going to do a before and after look. Okay, so that's the before. As you guys can see, it's 100% better than the before. And here is the after. That's basically what I do for the basic color correction. So, next stop is we are going into the levels. I always love messing with the levels because it brings the picture out more. And right here, we're going to start with dragging this part a little bit till we see this line right here. See? Right there looks about good. And then we're going to drag this just a little bit here. If we drag this to the right, as you guys can see, it brings it darker. And if we bring it this way, it brings it lighter. So for this case, I like to bring this a little bit to the light side like that. And then we're going to bring this a little bit here. And bam, we just made it brighter. So, the next one is we are going to bring up the curves. I love to bring up the curves because the curves are, I find, the hardest part about editing photos as to compose to just getting the levels right. The curves are the hardest ones for me. So that was the hardest one to concept at first when I was starting out, but now it's easy for me. So, see this point right here? We're going to try to match this point, and we can either bring it up or we can bring it down. See, as we bring it down, it's going to get darker. If we bring it up, it's going to make it lighter. So for this whole purpose, I think we should bring it up because it's in a bright environment. And then we're going to bring this part up a little bit. Good. Alright, sweet. That was good. This looks good already. So let's do it before and after without these effects. Before, after. Sweet. Looks good. So, the next thing I like to do, I like to go into the vibrance. I always like to be in the vibrance. And basically what this does, it brings the picture a little bit intense. So if we bring the vibrance down like this, you can see it makes it black and white. But if we bring it up, it makes it more intense. See? So we're going to drag this down a little bit to 18. We're going to bring up the saturation up a little bit to there. Bam. It doesn't do a whole lot of difference, but the more you get better at it, you're going to get used to it. Okay, sweet. So let's move on to the hue and saturation. The hue and saturation is where you can really get creative with your coloring of the picture. So, in this case, you guys can see she has a lot of like purple and pink. She has black on. There's like blue in the background. So what we're going to do, we're going to go into here. We're going to go into let's go into the blues first. We're going to bring up the blues just a little bit. This is where you can have a little bit more control. Alright guys, let me be back. Alright. Okay, I'm back guys. Sorry about that. I had to blow my nose so that way you guys can at least try to hear me a little bit more. So next, what I like to do after I bring up the blue on the saturation a little bit, I like to bring up the lightness just a little bit. Just a little bit, okay? Not too much, not too, like, dark, I guess. Because if we go dark, it's going to look like that. If we go too light, it's going to look like purple, and we don't want that, so we're going to bring it down to about right there. That looks good. Sweet. Let's bring this down just a little bit. And that looks good, doesn't it, guys? Sweet. Okay, so let's go on to reds. Let's bring up the red just a little bit. You guys can see the red on her lipstick, obviously, so that's what we're doing right now. We're going to bring that up a little bit. And we are going to do about right there. A little bit more, actually. Sweet, that looks good. That looks so much better than we had in the beginning. So you guys can see the blue is more out, her lipstick is more out, the red is more out. Everything looks more pop, it looks more hip. And the cool thing about this is that it takes about, the better you get at editing photos, it takes about like 5 minutes to do. And you guys can easily do this on your own. And the cool thing about learning all these little like tips, it makes it so much better and faster when you do it for your clients, because you don't want to get overloaded with your work. You want it to make it fast and you want to make it look good. So that's the whole thing about editing your photos. And so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to see the before and after. So the before is right here and the after is right here. As you guys can see, I made it more pop, I made it more hip, I made it more cool, I made the temperature brighter. And I just spit there, ew. And everything it looks good. So this is where I'm going to stop right now. If you guys have any photos you guys like to edit, DM me. Make sure you guys message me, everything. So anyways, make sure you guys leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I will catch you guys all in the next video. I am out.